Welcome back to Open Your Reality. In this video, I will be doing a part 2 of Neale Donald Walsch's 10 Illusions of Reality. And I did part 1 yesterday, so if you haven't checked that out, please do. I'll put the link below. But in this one, I'm going to be talking about the next 5, starting with the first one, which is the illusion that need exists. By the way, if you don't know who Neale Donald Walsch is, he is a New Age pundit. He is a best-selling author. I've had him on my show, and he's written many books that have sold millions of copies. And this is particularly coming from Conversations with God series, Communion with God. And if you haven't read it, it's definitely worth the read. So illusion number 1 in this video is that need exists. What is the definition of the illusion? It's the belief that we need something outside ourselves to be complete, happy, or whole. And this is so true for almost every human being who's walking the earth. This includes material possessions, relationships, achievements, or any type of external validation. And I think everyone is really trying to prove themselves in one way or another, either to other people or even to themselves. And I know I'm guilty of this. This is what most people believe. Most people believe they need certain things to be happy. And that could be material possessions, achievements. Like I said, it could be a successful career, a certain romantic partner, could be a certain financial security or milestone, social status, physical attractiveness. All of these things people believe will bring them some type of happiness. They believe that fulfillment comes from acquiring these external things. And without these elements, they're somehow incomplete or deficient. And this creates a perpetual state of seeking and striving. And truly, I think this is what causes all of the problems in our world. Because if you think about it, why do nations attack other nations? For their resources, because they want more land, or because they're in fear. So this illusion is actually false. The truth of it is, we are already complete spiritual beings, expressions of the divine. Everything that we truly need already exists within us. And I know that's hard to believe because if you're in a desert and you're starving and you're thirsty, and I came there, I somehow popped in and told you that, you would be like, BS. But it's the truth, because our inherent wholeness cannot be added to or diminished by external circumstances. Yes, we can starve to death, we can dehydrate, but in actuality, consciousness cannot be extinguished. And what we seek externally is already present internally. It was Paramahansa Yogananda who said, "Seek spiritual riches within. What you are is much greater than anyone or anything else you have ever yearned for." And that's one of my favorite quotes. Peace, love, joy, and worthiness, these are our natural states, not something to be achieved or earned. Now, how can you apply this truth? You can begin by recognizing moments when you need something to be happy. Maybe you feel you need a surgery to make your face look better. Maybe you feel you need a different job for more status, or you need some type of good-looking girlfriend on your arm to make you feel like you're the man. All of these things are illusions. So practice shifting from "I need this to be complete" to "I am already complete." This would be a joyful addition. Make decisions from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. And in relationships, connect from desire rather than desperation. In your career and in your goals, which I have, pursue what excites you rather than what you think you need to be worthy. And this is so important because lately I've personally been thinking, what can I do to make more money? And I went over to AI and I asked it, ChatGPT, and it said, your passions are great, but you're probably going to fail. So here are 10, 20, whatever, how many suggestions I asked for on what to do. And I just look at it. I was like, I don't have the passion for that. And I think that so many of us get caught up in doing things for a career that we don't want to do. And life is short, and you should just do what you love. And if I'm a believer in, if you do what you love, the money will eventually follow. And you may not become a millionaire or a billionaire, But if you change people's lives and impact them, you will have enough. And that's part of this truth. So when you make these changes, you start living this truth and it eliminates the desperation and anxiety that you feel, which is right under the surface. It's always foaming under the surface. Relationships will become healthier because you're not clinging to others to complete you. This is something that I've done through the years. I'm perfectly content being on my own. Decision making becomes clearer because you're not driven by fear of lack. Very, very true. Very true. Also, you experience greater peace and contentment in the present moment. And paradoxically, when you stop needing things, you often attract them more easily. Oh my God, talking about the law of manifestation, that's a huge part of it. Let me say it again. When you stop requiring or needing things, when you stop being needy, you often attract them more easily. It's the same thing in dating, it's the same thing in business. When you're desperate, people sense that and they depart because of fear, because it starts resonating for them. And then the last thing is you're operating more from an abundance consciousness rather than scarcity. So operate from that abundance consciousness. So there it is, number one. That was it. The illusion, again, was that need exists. Now we're moving on to illusion two, which is that failure exists. And I have a good quote for this. Failure is merely another opportunity to more intelligently begin again. But the definition of this illusion is the belief that we can fail and make irredeemable mistakes or have experiences that are fundamentally wrong or wasted. This is the definition of the illusion. The belief that we can fail. Here's what most people believe, that certain outcomes constitute failure. So not getting the job, a relationship ending, a business closing, making the wrong choices. That's why a lot of people say that everything in life that's supposed to happen does happen, just the way it's supposed to. And some people fail dozens or even hundreds of times before they succeed. You should think of failure as an outcome. Most people believe that there are mistakes that shouldn't have happened, that they've wasted time, or there's some type of proof of personal inadequacy. And all of this creates the fear of taking risks and paralyzes one's, let's say, authentic self-expression. So failure truly does cripple people. Shakespeare had a good quote. He says, "Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." It's one of my favorite Shakespeare quotes. He also says something like, "Take arms against a sea of troubles, and in doing so, end them," which means take those risks, take action, don't be afraid. So why the illusion is actually false, and this is the truth. From the soul's perspective, every experience serves our evolution and learning. It's like Tom Campbell said, it's not so much what happens to us, but it's how we respond. That's the big key. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's not always what happens to us, it's how we respond to it. So what we call failures are simply experiences that didn't produce expected results. And they always provide valuable wisdom and growth. There is no cosmic scoreboard marking wins and losses that's all in your head. Most people care a lot less of what you think. This is so common, but most people believe that other people are always judging them. And most people are just lost in their own thoughts. They're not thinking about you as much as you think they are. The other falsity is that every experience is neutral data for the soul's journey, and that success and failure are temporary human labels, not ultimate truths. So this too shall soon pass. Now, how can we apply this truth? When you think you fail, you can reframe them as learning experiences that brought you to where you are. Now, the Buddha said, everything that we are is the result of what we have thought. And when facing new challenges, release the fear of failure by remembering that all outcomes serve your growth. And also take the risks that you've been avoiding. Now, that doesn't mean walking a tightrope and stepping on a cliff. It means take the risk of going for that job, writing that book, making that video, going up to that person and talking to them, those kinds of risks. When things don't go as planned, ask, what can I learn from this instead of why did I fail? And share your failures openly, recognizing they're part of your story, not evidence of unworthiness. How would this change our lives if we can enact this? You become significantly more courageous and you become willing to try new things. Your creative expression flows more freely without the fear of doing it wrong. And you also increase resilience. And you do that dramatically because setbacks no longer carry any existential weight in your world. You stop wasting energy on regret and self blame and you take action. And your relationship with risk transforms from something to avoid to something that accelerates growth. And in doing all this, you inspire others by modeling authentic learning and growth rather than just pretending to be perfect. So, this is the illusion that failure exists. It doesn't. You just receive outcomes and then you just recalibrate and continue. The third one for this video is the illusion that insufficiency exists. The definition of this illusion is the belief in scarcity, that there isn't enough to go around, whether it's money, resources, love, time, opportunities, or just worthiness itself. So most people believe that there aren't enough good jobs, not enough good worthy partners, not enough good opportunities, not enough money, not enough food. If someone else wins, that means less for me, that it's a zero-sum game, that resources must be hoarded, competed for, and carefully guarded, that love is limited, that time is running out. And this type of worldview creates constant anxiety, competition, and the impulse to accumulate and protect. Now, some of the most successful people in the world have used this illusion to achieve their success. And some people do. Some people can actually use these illusions in a positive way. For example, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all of these people have this constant anxiety to become the best and to compete in the impulse to accumulate and protect their status, their wealth, whatever it is. And it's really, I don't want to say a psychosis or psychopathy, but it's some type of obsessive compulsive neurotic psychosis, really. I'm not a psychologist, but it's definitely a flawed viewpoint. But the reason I'm pointing this out is because there's a good side to it as well. I'm not saying you should embrace it. I'm just saying that if you find it hard to relieve any of these illusions, because let's face it, me just making this video doesn't mean you're going to drop them. There is a positive side to it. It's like Customato, who was the trainer of Mike Tyson, said, fire can either warm you or it can burn you depending on how you use it. So why this illusion is actually false, and this is the truth, is that the universe is fundamentally abundant and energy and consciousness are infinite. And one person's gains doesn't require another's loss, meaning it's not a zero-sum game. There is enough love. There's enough creativity, opportunity, resources for all beings to thrive. And I think this illusion is really at the heart of every war, that every nation, every dictator, every people believe that there is not enough and they need to conquer other people and take their resources. But scarcity is just a human construct. It's not a cosmic reality. And when we operate from abundance consciousness, we tap into the creative potential that we all have. So sharing multiplies rather than depletes. So how can we apply this truth in our life? We can practice generosity even when it feels uncomfortable with your time, your money, knowledge, and attention. So there are some people out there that feel even no matter how much money they have, if they give money away, it doesn't make sense. If somebody has $1 million net worth and they give $10 or $20 to somebody who desperately needs it, even though this person has the $1 million net worth, they still feel this illusion that insufficiency exists, so they try to hoard every penny. If that is the case, then you should practice giving away small sums of money, $10 to $20, to people who need it. Because ultimately, in the end, it will help you, and you will find out that in actuality, sharing is better than hoarding. So you could also celebrate others' success genuinely, and also envy, jealousy, these type of emotions, these type of fears, which we talked about in the first video. These are all based in fear. However, when you celebrate others' success from a genuine place, you come from a place of knowing that their abundance doesn't diminish yours. And also when you notice scarcity thinking like, I can't afford this, there's not enough time, which I often say, you reframe it to abundance. Like, how can I create this? I have all the time I need for what matters. I was actually watching a video today where a guy said he breaks up his day into 8 hours. So for him, he has 3 days in one day, and he coordinates each of those 8 hours. So it feels, for example, he has 3 days instead of one. I really like that. I think I'm going to try that. Although some of my 8 hours is spent sleeping, so I spend all day sleeping in a sense. Just kidding. So you want to share your gifts freely, and you want to trust what you give returns multiplied. So if you give away 10% of your salary, you're going to get back 100 times. If you give away ideas and you give love, you're going to get it back 100 times, 1,000 times. So how will this impact your life? How will knowing the solution and changing your life change you? Your anxiety about resources diminishes significantly. Relationships become less competitive and more collaborative. You feel genuinely happy for others' success instead of envious or threatened. Generosity becomes natural rather than forced. And counterintuitively, abundance tends to increase in your life as you shift your consciousness from scarcity to plenty. So when you give away freely, I'm not saying give away everything you have, you get back. And that's a rule like in Judaism, Christianity, you give away 10% of everything you earn. And they talk about that in the Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and all of these self-help books that came out 100 years ago or more. They all talk about giving away 10% of your income, and you will get back 10, 100 times in return. You also experience greater peace, trust, and flow. You lose that anxiety and fear, and creative solutions appear where you previously saw only limitations. There you go. That is the illusion of insufficiency. Just crush it in your life. And moving right on to the fourth illusion of this video is the illusion that conditionality exists. And the definition of this illusion is the belief that love, acceptance, worthiness, and belonging are all conditional, that they must be earned through good behavior, correct beliefs, achievements, or meeting specific standards. And this could be in society, it could be in a relationship, it could be in your religion, it could be your job. Most people believe love and acceptance depend on being good enough, that achieving certain goals, holding correct beliefs, behaving properly, looking a certain way, or proving your worth are all conditional. That even God's love is conditional on belief or behavior. If you don't go to church, if you don't dress a certain way, if you don't believe a certain thing, if you don't do a certain thing. And also for parents, parental love. A lot of people feel that our parents, our mother and father, their love depends on how we perform. Did we get the grade that they wanted? Did we take the job that they believe we should get? Our spouse, where we live, how we conduct ourselves. Our parents are like God in our life. Also, social acceptance requires conforming to expectations. And this is a big one. And it does stem back to a very primal fear, which is that we want to blend in with the group. We don't want to be the outcast because the outcast dies. The outcast is on the outside of the group and is susceptible to anything. And that's why so many of us want to socially conform. But in the world that we're living in today, not everyone has to socially conform. And there's so many different groups that you can find. You can find other people like yourself, unless you're really unique like me. And then you're just a lone wolf. You're isolated. You're just on the fringes. But hey, that's okay, because at least I'm making videos. And also, this creates exhausting performance anxiety and deep unworthiness. You see this in, for example, people that are gay and they're in the closet and they have to be in the closet for years and years. And this creates a tremendous amount of anxiety and fear because they're not living in their true self. So I definitely believe in just being yourself, just putting it out there, because living under a cloak is the fastest way to get to your grave. Really, it really is. So I really believe the best thing we can do is just be ourselves, because living in a lie is exhausting. Now I'm going to tell you why this illusion is actually false. The truth is that true love, including divine love, is unconditional and constant, that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything. You don't have to believe anything. You don't have to achieve anything to be worthy of love, and especially God's love. Worthiness is inherent in your existence as a divine being. Realize that. And also realize that love that must be earned isn't really love. It's simply a transaction. And that conditional acceptance is really control, not authentic connection. And lastly, your essential nature is lovable exactly as you are, without modification or improvement. Now, how can we apply this truth to our lives? Just notice when you're trying to earn love or acceptance through performance. Practice accepting yourself unconditionally, including your flaws and mistakes. And this is so difficult to do for so many people, including myself. So when I say these things, realize that even me, it's not easy. And in relationships, offer love without requiring others to change or meet your expectations. And this is one that I found through the years. I don't try to change anybody. I just let them live themselves and do them. And I let people be themselves. And I want to do what I want to do. And that doesn't mean you can't offer advice. But when you try to change people, that's when you're living inside the illusion. So stop doing things solely to gain approval. Make choices based on authentic desire rather than fear of rejection. That's another big one. Extend unconditional acceptance to your children, partners, and friends. Accept people for the way they are. And trust that you are worthy simply because you exist. Now, if you can actually do these and break free of this illusion, this is the way it's going to change your life. You will experience profound relief from exhausting the need to prove yourself. Your authentic self-expression becomes possible because you're no longer performing for merely approval. Relationships deepen dramatically when you allow people to just be people and you form genuine connections and give people unconditional acceptance. You stop tolerating mistreatment in exchange for scraps of conditional love. Energy that you previously spent trying to be good enough becomes available for creativity and joy. And you develop genuine self-love and self-acceptance for yourself. Paradoxically, when you stop trying to earn love, you will often receive more of it, and you're showing up authentically instead of being a performer. And I understand, maybe you have a corporate job and maybe you have to put on a different face. But really, that's just why I want to work for myself, because I don't want to put on that face anymore. And now we get to illusion number 5, the illusion that superiority exists. Remember, these are Neale Donald Walsch's 10 illusions of reality, and we finally made it to the last one. If you didn't hear about the first 5, that's in my first video. I'll put the link below. All right. The definition of this illusion is the belief that some people, races, religions, nations, genders, and sexual orientations, or ways of being are inherently superior or inferior to others. And all throughout history, people have believed that of other people. What most people believe is that people hold conscious or unconscious beliefs about superiority. Whether it's one way or another, they believe their religion is the true one. Their culture is more advanced. Their way of life is better. Certain groups of people are fundamentally more valuable or invaluable than others. And this manifests as racism, religious intolerance, nationalism, sexism, and various forms of prejudice and discrimination. And I just did a deep dive on history for the Russian Revolution, World War I, World War II, and all of this was in play. And people believe hierarchies of worth are natural and justified. This is all part of the illusion. Now, I'm going to tell you why this illusion is actually false. This is the truth. All souls are equally divine expressions of the one God source. We're all simply having different experiences. And while things and people are certainly different, we look different, we act different, we have different languages, different customs. These differences don't create hierarchies of worth. And no religion, I don't care what religion it is in the world, holds exclusive truth. And no race is superior. We all have our gifts, and we are all God's children. No gender is better. They're just different. No nation is more valuable than another. And these are all temporary roles. And if we just realize that all of this is an illusion, then the world would be vastly different. But that's not where we are right now. Also, why this illusion is false is that we're just all temporary souls playing a game. And you might be a white man in America in one life, and then you could be a black female in Africa in the next life, and then you could be an Asian male in the third life. So we're just all playing temporary roles in the grand experience of existence. And once you realize that we are all just temporarily playing a role, and that one life you could be something and then the next life you're something totally different, you realize that you really should have respect for everybody, every gender, every nation, every culture, every race. So diversity is the universe exploring itself, not a competition to determine who is the best. Now, how can we apply this truth? Examine your own biases and beliefs about superiority. Where do you secretly believe you or your group is better? And I saw this tonight. I was hanging out with some friends and they were saying some things to another friend. And it's funny because what they were saying is, just because this guy is one way doesn't, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. But then in another sense, they were saying things about that guy, the same thing. Wait a minute, you're harping on something that's negative about this guy, and then you're saying it doesn't matter to you. A lot of people, a lot of people have biases and beliefs, and they're subconscious, which means sometimes you don't see them. They're hidden. It's like an iceberg. They're way beneath the ocean, way beneath the surface level. But just practice seeing the divine in everyone, especially those very different from you. Challenge superiority thinking when you encounter it. Engage with other people. Don't just mix with people of your own ilk. Recognize that your way isn't the right way. It's just one way. And extend equal respect and dignity to all beings, regardless of their status, beliefs, or background. Again, could be very difficult for people to do, especially with their upbringing. Usually a personality is formed once we're about 5 to 6 years old, and it's really difficult for us to shake this unless we change our subconscious, unless we very deliberately and consciously do the work. And I'm talking work, years of work. We just run based on these subconscious programs that were programmed into us from youth. And a lot of the programs that are put into us, installed by society, by our parents, by our culture, are contrary to love. And the programming is basically these 10 illusions. So I understand how difficult it is to break out. So when I give you the answers here and I give you these solutions, understand that I realize it is difficult, but it is definitely attainable. Now, if you can realize that superiority exists and it's an illusion, and you could actually apply some of these things, then you can change your life. You can experience genuine connection across all boundaries. You can drop prejudices and unconscious biases. They just dissolve. You end up becoming genuinely curious about different perspectives rather than just your own. Your conflict and judgment decrease dramatically in your relationships and worldview. You stop needing to feel superior to feel secure, which brings deep peace. You end up contributing to heal social divisions rather than perpetuating them. Your circle of compassion extends to include all beings, and you model equality and respect that influences everyone around you, and that creates a ripple effect of unity. It's like Tom Campbell says, that everything you say, do, or think has an effect on the system. And I said this quote yesterday. It's one of my favorite quotes from Gladiator, the movie, which came out in the year 2000. Russell Crowe said, "What we do in life echoes in eternity." And I think it's absolutely apropos. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be back tomorrow with another video, and I think you will find it equally rewarding and valuable. Thank you for tuning in all the way until the end of the video. And if you could just do me the favor of giving this video and if you want to drop me a comment and say hello, I will say hello back. Thank you very much. Good night.